Good afternoon. We're live from Mexico Beach here in Florida. Good afternoon, everybody. This is where the storm surge was maximized, probably the 15-foot range. And this is Mexico City Beach. Obviously the damage here is massive, as well all along the coastline. We've been up and down the coast and talking to homeowners and people that stayed and people that left and why and how come. And if you look at the water, how powerful the water is, you look at that as the storm surge came in, it not only knocked buildings off the pilings here, but block center block walls, and those are solid concrete reinforced block walls. They're knocked down. The storm surge here was just massive. It was brutal, just intense storm surge. I can tell you, being back north of Highway 98, I'm south of 98 here, about a block roughly, and north of 98, the addition goes back there about 4 to 5 blocks north of 98. I've been up surveying the storm surge, the neighborhoods north of 98, and the storm surge across 98 was anywhere from about 10 feet in the low-lying areas to about 5 to 7 back in the neighborhoods on the north side of 98. And that storm surge took cars along 98 in these neighborhoods, these condos and houses and townhouses that border 98 here, and they pushed them all the way through the neighborhood north, anywhere from 4 to 6 blocks into the woods north of 98, about 6 blocks. So the storm surge was very powerful, very devastating storm surge. Not only with the wind was very high here in Mexico Beach and along the coast, and as well as the area near Springfield and the area on the southeast side of Panama City had enormous damage. I will tell you that the Tyndall Air Force Base, as well as Caldwell and Springfield, is absolutely catastrophic damage. You've already heard this, you've seen this, but I tell you, so far everybody's focusing here on Mexico Beach, and rightfully so. It's extreme damage. Most of the houses here along the beach are either down, tore down, or knocked down. But the thing that's worse, and in some aspects, if you go back and look at the population centers back on the east side of Panama City and Caldwell and Springfield, those towns there's literally probably upwards of 10,000 people of homes that are destroyed in apartments and things, where the numbers are smaller here. It's more concentrated, but there's just this bigger story on the east side of Panama City that, in my opinion, hasn't gotten much attention. But obviously this is heavily damaged, heavy storm surge, and it basically looks like this whole area looks like about a 40 to 45 mile wide. I had a state official call me this morning, kind of give me an update of what they've seen overhead, and the choppers of the last day with search and rescue over the last 7 days across the Florida panhandle. And his words, and he's seen a lot of damage and tornadoes as well as I have. And I asked the gentleman, what did you think of the damage in the flyover? And he says, Jeff, it looks like a 45 mile wide F4. He said everything's flattened for about 45 miles wide, or it's on the ground. And he goes, it's just total devastation. And he's right, it is. It's total devastation in this whole area. It's pretty bad. I mean, the storm surge was like I said, anywhere from 5 feet in the bank neighborhoods to as high as 10 or 15 feet along 98 here. And of course, a lot of the block buildings and stuff came down. The damage is pretty massive. They still have search and rescue going on. I understand they found another person late yesterday afternoon in this vicinity. And I don't know how many more still missing. 1, maybe 2, I think still is what we're waiting for, I think, on word. We've got emergency communications set up here, Verizon, AT&T, as well as T-Mobile. Most of the phones are working along the coastline now. It's still sporadic, and you still have limited amount of data, but you can get text out, you can't get phone calls out to loved ones. And this house for miles. This is not just Mexico Beach. This goes all the way over to Port St. Joe. Was there earlier. The harbor marina there took a substantial hit with a lot of boats sunk in the harbor there at Port St. Joe. St. George's Island's cut in two. The store owner at one of the stores I saw 7 days ago and visited with him and told him what the gravity of the situation, what was coming, and how bad it was going to be at his store. I saw this morning on Twitter, he was with the governor at St. George's Island, and this particular store owner is trying to help the residents rebuild. And literally the St. George's Island was very heavily damaged with storm surge, which is back down the coast, or a good 25 miles back to my east-southeast here at the point. But this is kind of this afternoon, it's kind of a quiet control. There's military checkpoints, a tremendous amount of police presence here, which is really good. So far, no problems here in Mexico Beach, but I will tell you, the problem as we get into Panama City and Panama City Beach, but really Panama City, over the last 7 days, there's been a lot of looting at nighttime. People are armed bandits is the only way to describe it, have been going into people's houses and robbing people, breaking into houses that don't have power. So in the areas of Springfield and the areas of Caldwell where the power's still out and a lot of houses have roofs off of them, the looting is a problem at night. I mean, there's no way to skirt the issue. It is a problem, and they have a massive, and I mean massive, police force down here, both state, federal, local. There's basically a policeman about every half block all over the city. I mean, it's just the only way to describe it. I saw some things kind of, bad last night in the sense of just things are going to be trouble after dark, and there's no other way to say it, but that's basically what's going on. It's in those areas, the heavy presence of police, the city, and everybody's they're getting spun back up with the city and local governments trying to do all they can. I will tell you, I've seen massive utility workers. They're all along the coast, but from Port St. Joe into Mexico Beach, there's probably about 30 utility trucks, at least 30, if not 50, on the east side of Mexico Beach, and they're literally stringing probably about 10 miles of new telephone pole lines right on Highway 98, and that's been going on all last 7 days. So they're bringing power back, and they're making massive effort all across Mexico City, as well as Panama City, Panama Beach. Panama Beach has electric in most areas, and some gas, and a few stores open, not many, and the power all the way from here up to I-10 across this whole vast area. There's literally thousands and thousands of utility line workers here from all of the United States, and I'll be honest with you, in 7 days, from what it looked like 7 days ago to today, it's been an unbelievable amount of cleanup. I can't tell you how fast they're moving on the cleanup here. Still a lot of work to do. It's going to take months, if not years, to totally recoup. But I'm saying, just in the last 7 days, there's been massive progress made over the whole south coast here, the Big Bend area, as well as inland up on I-10. But this whole area has made major progress with cleanup so far. A lot of debris out of the road, thank goodness. A week ago, the debris was 2 to 3 feet, like everywhere. Most of the roads, the main roads and secondary roads, have been cleaned and swept, which is good. It's got all the nails off the roads. As you can see, these are big trucks that come and pick up the debris with big grab hooks, and there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of these kind of trucks all over the area, and they stop and they're just grabbing big, huge piles of rubble and then going to the dump and dumping them. And that's what's going on all over this area. But these people are going to need a lot of help in the coming days and weeks and months. It's going to take a long time to recoup from this. The damage is massive. I mean, that's it's a big statement, but it's massive. But again, I'll point out the east sides of Panama City, Caldwell and Springfield area on the southeastern sides, and also Taylor Air Force Base is absolutely decimated. I mean, it is massive destruction. It's as bad, not from the storm surge sense, but from a wind sense. The southeastern side of Panama City is in tremendous need. I mean, the damage there is horrendous. I've seen whole neighborhoods flattened, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes with the walls are gone, roofs are gone, the entire neighborhoods are flattened. Taylor Air Force Base is massive damage. I don't know if you got good pictures of that from the aerial views, but from the ground view, people are going back in there this morning, local Marine people going back to the residence, a long line of people going back in, and I can tell you, as I pass the base, it has catastrophic damage on almost every building where the eye came ashore, and that's basically what's happened. We've got it's been kind of cool the last day or two. The dew points, the humidity went away. We got a little bit of moisture coming back. You can see the humidity coming back over back over the beach here today. It's starting to warm back up and get humid, but this morning is very cool and dry. We've gone back to an east-southeast wind, so the humidity is coming back north. We had a little front pass here last night. It was actually very comfortable here this morning along the Florida coast. The dew points are probably in the low 50s, mid 50s. We're getting back into the 60s this afternoon, the dew points. You can see the sea breeze right here. We got a little line of showers, maybe some thunderstorms trying to form right here over Mexico Beach this afternoon on the sea breeze, working when the wind's back southeast. But that's kind of a short update for this area. Again, I hadn't been able to bring you live from everywhere we've been today, but we'll have a lot of pictures. Did a couple interviews with some local residents, why they left, and then I've heard some incredible stories from local residents here that stayed and what happened to them, and we'll post those later. But I can tell you, you will not want to miss what they told me, and their decision on why they stayed. And a lot of it has to do with the communication of getting people to leave the coastline, and the threat, it's people's perceived threat of what's coming. and whether it's, you know, Cat 2, 3, or 4, or 5, and the storm surge and the warning process, and what makes those people leave or stay. And some very interesting, information from people that stayed, and some people that literally got washed out of their house with his daughter and a cat, and got washed literally 3 blocks into the woods and literally held onto trees in the woods overnight from the storm surge. I mean, just unbelievable stories out here. How people survived. It's pretty hair-raising. But anyway, that's it from right here from Mexico Beach. We'll give you some more updates. We're going to go back into the southeast side of Panama City later this afternoon in those areas and show you damage from that area. But this is basically the storm surge is what knocked most of this down. The roof damages from the winds, but the storm surge in here anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, and then north of 98 is about 5 to 6 feet in most of the homes from what we've observed today so far. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate your support and everything you're doing today, and if we'll try to answer you guys' questions a little bit later on the post. Thank you so much.